What is quiet magnetism? Today we're talking about 7 characteristics of quiet magnetism. The biggest misunderstanding and misconception that people have when it comes to being magnetic or charismatic is that you have to be super extroverted and super loud, and you have to be the life of the party. You have to be really funny and, really witty, and that's how you can be magnetic. That's the only way. And it's a misconception because magnetism can look in very different shapes and forms. So, sure, you can have someone who's extroverted and the life of the party, and they can be magnetic, but you can also have someone that's more quiet and more grounded, and they still pull people towards them just like a magnet. And I want to talk about two specific celebrities that do this very, very well. And I want to use celebrities because it's helpful to see clips of real life, real world examples of what I mean. So the celebrities I'm going to be using are Dakota Johnson and Jonathan Bailey, which I think is the king of quiet magnetism and this really grounded energy and grounded charisma. He's not the life of the party. He's not like the most extroverted person ever, but I know there's no one that can make everyone around them like them, right? There's no way you can make everyone like you. But if there's one person on this planet that comes remotely close to that, that's Jonathan Bailey. I feel like everybody likes him. Whenever he's in an interview, whenever he has a co-star, a co-actor he's working with, everybody keeps saying just how lovely he is, how nice his energy is, and how he's extremely, extremely likable. And I want to go through 7 characteristics of quiet magnetism. And I want you to either identify yourself, maybe you resonate with some of these characteristics and you can start, channeling them more and integrating more into your life. Or you might say, oh no, actually my archetype of magnetism or charisma is someone who's more extroverted, or someone who's more funny, or like it's something different. Maybe it's more witty, Tony Stark style. There's so many archetypes, and I'm going to do a video specifically on that, like just the different archetypes of magnetism and attraction. But today we're talking about quiet magnetism. And so you can learn to channel, these qualities even more that I'm talking about. And you don't have to integrate all of them to be magnetic, but if you have a lot of them, then you will become extremely, extremely magnetic, which basically just means that you're going to be pulling people towards you very easily. The first characteristic of quiet magnetism, and this is a must. If you have quiet magnetism, if you want to pull people towards you, this is the most important quality, and that is warmth. Having a warm, open, welcoming energy about you. And I think Jonathan Bailey is a master of this. So watching this next clip, how warm and welcoming his energy is.
Stop staring at you.
I know.
want to know.
I can't stop posing. I'm like, I'm going to put my.
Yeah, I'm like.
I want to create a nice shape for you.
Well, when I first got the call.
Funny you should ask.
Research shows that warmth is the single most important thing that makes us, like someone else or be drawn towards someone else. So when we meet someone for the first time, we typically judge them on 2 criteria. One is warmth, and the other one is competence. If someone is low in both warmth and competence, we don't like that person at all. If someone is high in competence but low in warmth, we might respect them, but we're not going to like them. If someone is just high in warmth but low in competence, we might like them. They might be like, someone we don't mind spending time with, but we're not going to respect them. But if you have the combination of both high warmth and high competence, that person is going to be incredibly magnetic, and we're going to like them a lot. So what is warmth? Warmth is having this really non-judgmental energy about you, having a warm facial expression, a warm smile, on your face at all times, having warm and open body language. So, instead of like having a contracted, tense body language where you're crossing your arms and your legs, opening up the posture, showing people you're open to receiving their energy, you're open to giving energy. And very importantly, it's having this very empathetic, non-judgmental attitude. Like, you can talk to anyone about anything and you're going to be very accepting. Is this, kindness. So, you can feel it after you seeing the Jonathan Bailey clip. It feels like, you're gonna be accepted as you are, and it feels like it's a genuinely kind energy about him. So this is the first characteristic, warmth, and is the most important thing when it comes to magnetism. The second characteristic of quiet magnetism is having a grounded presence. So having this really calm, grounding energy about you. So see it in the next clip and see how Jonathan Bailey applies this really well.
Healthy work environment, the work and the merit of the work is going to be the thing that grounds you in that environment. Everyone loves someone who's enthused and respected and steadfast worker.
You know how there are some people that are very chaotic, maybe anxious, they're very energetic and they're all over the place. It's the opposite of that. It's having this, really grounded, like almost like a tree inside of you, or like roots, and you feel very grounded in yourself. You feel very at peace with yourself. And as a result, because we have mirror neurons, and because we transfer our emotional state to others and vice versa, people, when they see us having this really calm, relaxed energy, they will unconsciously adopt that energy. They will unconsciously steal it from us. So, even if, for instance, I'm in a bad mood, or I'm quite anxious or overwhelmed, and I come into a meeting with Jonathan Bailey, right? Give him as an example. And he has this really calm, grounded presence, and he manages to maintain that state unconsciously. I'm going to start having and taking the same sort of energy from him, and having the same sort of grounded, relaxed energy. So that is very, magnetic, because it soothes your nervous system. We live in such a sort of stressful, anxious world, depending on where you live. But I live in London, which is a very high anxiety city. And it seems like everyone's running around, everyone's like on the move, on the go. And when you meet someone who has this really calm presence and energy, it helps you ground yourself, and it helps you give you that feeling where, as I said before, your nervous system is finally able to relax. The third characteristic of having quiet magnetism is being comfortable with silence. And Dakota Johnson is a pro at this. Watching this next clip.
What I love so much about you is the way that you're able to handle silence. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She is super comfortable with silence and not filling in those gaps. And that's very rare. Mostly because most people either have social anxiety, or, they're quite neurotic, and they'll try to fill in every gap. They're not comfortable with silence. And it can come across as performative, as insecure, like, oh, I can't relax because you are so uncomfortable yourself with, always having something to talk about, not leaving even 1 second or 2 seconds of silence. Someone who has this grounded magnetic energy, they're comfortable with silence. And if you think about it, you're only comfortable with silence around family or really close people to you, close friends. And it's a sign that you have a very close relationship if you're comfortable with sitting in silence, in each other's presence. And as I said, it's very rare and very magnetic, because it makes you, kind of connect on a deeper level unconsciously, because your subconscious thinks, oh, if I'm comfortable sitting in silence with this person and I don't have to perform, I can just be myself, I'm going to be accepted, it means we have a really deep connection and bond, and I feel good around this person. And so, I'm pulled towards them. I want to spend more time with them. The fourth characteristic of quiet magnetism is having a soothing voice. You might have not expected this, but look at this clip of Dakota Johnson.
Because I like tea, and it's nice to talk about things and think about things during tea time. And that's what Ro and I do.
I feel like this woman has the most soothing voice on the internet. She can literally put anyone to sleep. It's like those ASMR voices. And, again, if we are to compare it to someone who has a more dynamic extroverted magnetism, their voice is going to be very different. Their voice is going to be, louder, maybe a bit more higher pitch. It's gonna be more varied. They're gonna make everything they say sound more interesting. They're gonna put more energy behind their voice. And that is very magnetic and fascinating. But when it comes to quiet magnetism, we have a very different voice. We have someone who usually has a lower tone, like a deeper voice, someone who has this vibration to their voice, that a bit like that voice that you have when you wake up, a bit of a sleepy voice, even, and a voice that comes from the abdomen. So, it's this voice that it doesn't come from the throat, and you can feel it when someone is talking from the throat versus when someone is really like talking from the abdomen. Another thing is that they take their time. So instead of, talking really fast and being super dynamic with everything they say and being a bit like neurotic and like highly anxious, they really slow down and they take their time and they're comfortable with taking people's time. And as I said before, with having this presence that soothes your nervous system, their voice will really, really soothe your nervous system, and it will have this calming effect on you. The fifth characteristic is incredible eye contact, and is the kind of eye contact that makes people feel truly seen. And Jonathan Bailey is incredible at doing this. So watching this next clip.
And which is, I think, like,
Always a good sign.
yeah, that's a good sign. A lot of work, and like by the end of it, you're delirious, and then the next day you feel like you got hit by a truck. It's fantastic.
When you're talking to someone and they're looking all over the place, or it feels like they're looking through you and not really at you, it's like the most anti-magnetic quality someone can have, because you feel like, oh, they're not present, they're not here with me, they're probably thinking of the next thing they're gonna say, or they're thinking about their own stuff. But what Jonathan Bailey manages to do, and people with this quiet grounded magnetism manage to do, is make you feel truly, truly seen, is really look at you. And I saw in the comments as well at some of his interviews, people say like, oh my God, I would melt if Jonathan Bailey looked at me, because he makes you feel truly seen. He's actually looking at you. He truly sees you. And people can see that even through a screen. He actually cares about what you have to say. And that's extremely magnetic, especially in a world where we've become so selfish and individualistic, and we only care about how we come across. We don't really care about other people's lives. Not really, like, sure, you can talk to your friends about their life or like gossip, but it doesn't feel like people truly care, or like, they truly care about you, let alone your internal world. And when someone like this comes along and they make you feel truly seen, like they're not thinking about the next thing they're going to say, they actually listen to you and they actually care. Oh my God, it's just such a breath of fresh air. It's so magnetic. It pulls people towards you because it's so rare in our society. The sixth characteristic is being validating and giving genuine compliments. Jonathan is brilliant when it comes to this, so just watch this next clip.
Breakout role was probably the horse whisperer when I was 12.
Brilliant film.
Yeah. Thank you.
What is Scarlett Johansson's favourite movie?
I love Anti-Mame. I also love Groundhog Day.
Brilliant
I also
film.
love Terminator 2 a lot and Back to the Future 2.
Yeah, cracking selection.
He constantly says, "This is brilliant." Whenever Scarlett says something, he immediately validates it. Oh, it's the movie or it's the song she's talking about. He says, "This is brilliant," or "I've heard this is brilliant," or, "This is amazing," or "That's such a good list." Everything she says, he genuinely, compliments it and he validates it. So this quality is so magnetic because it makes people feel so good around you. It makes people feel like, oh, it validates their own self-concept, and it makes them feel good about themselves because they're thinking, oh, I have a good taste, or, oh, I'm really good at this, or like, when someone gives you a genuine compliment and not those superficial, like, fake compliments that you feel aren't genuine, like you can truly feel it, that's anti-magnetic. But when someone like Jonathan, gives you a real compliment from the heart. And you can see this in this next clip with Amelia as well. He gives this incredible compliment and it feels genuine and true.
I can flirt
I know you can.
very well, actually,
I can feel it.
but it's just not really working for me. It's almost like I flirt, but it doesn't really get me anywhere. So maybe I'm actually bad at flirting.
I think you make people feel alive.
Oh, make me feel alive.
Yeah.
She was flabbergasted. I mean, she probably never received such a nice compliment. He's very charming, and being able to give genuine compliments is extremely charming. The seventh and one of the most important characteristics of having this quiet magnetism is having a welcoming, inviting energy. So look at this clip of Jonathan Bailey.
Instead of thinking about how you're going to be in that environment, before you walk into the room or you start your day's work, think, how can I be of service to other people? How can I make sure that the crew are all right and having a good time? How can I check in with that person to see if they're able to work and deliver and that the environment's good for them? Put that energy out into the room in a positive way.
Dr. Julie Smith talks about it in our podcast as well. Don't try to be welcomed, but become the welcomer. Be the person who makes other people feel good and feel like they belong and feel like they're welcomed. And this is a brilliant piece of advice also for people who have social anxiety and they're always really preoccupied with how they come across, like, oh, how am I gonna look, how am I gonna sound, did that sound stupid, the thing I said. When you have all these thoughts, you're overly focusing on yourself. Whereas if you focus on being the welcomer and making other people feel good, which Jonathan does in an amazing way, not only do you take the pressure off yourself, and you start feeling better because you're focusing on making other people feel good, other people also start loving you. They're super, super pulled towards you and attracted to you because, especially if it's a new environment or, a bit of a risky environment. Let's say you went to a networking event or your first day on set like he is, or, your first day at a new job, or, it's an environment where everyone's new there, everyone feels kind of uncomfortable, like everyone has to make that small talk, and everyone's feeling a bit awkward because they don't know if they're going to be accepted or rejected. Being the person who makes other people feel good and has this warm, welcoming energy, will put people at ease, and people are naturally gonna gravitate towards that person because, they can just relax that, oh, I was accepted, which is a fundamental human need, feeling accepted, feeling like you belong. And being the person that makes other people feel accepted and like they belong is incredibly magnetic. It's a superpower. And I don't know many people that do this. So, I can count them on the fingers of my hands how many people I've met that manage to do this and make others feel good, when everyone else is feeling anxious and they focus on how they come across, and then meeting that person at an event that's just like making you feel good and it's like genuinely interested in you and genuinely wants to get to know you, and they have this really warm, welcoming energy. Honestly, it's brilliant. And managing to develop that skill and being that person, whoa, incredibly magnetic. All right, guys. So I hope you enjoyed this video and the 7 characteristics that give you that quiet magnetism. Maybe you've identified some things that you already do, and maybe you want to bring them to the next level and do them even more. Or maybe you identify some things that you don't currently do, but you'd like to do more of. So I challenge you, next time you go out with someone or you go to an event, take at least one of the characteristics we talked about and apply it, and let me know how it goes in the comments. Lots of love. Bye.